All right. It is, well, a good day, but a fantastic day to look at continuous deployment or CI/CD in GitHub. So there's a couple workflows that need to streamline, kind of update a few things. I see Callum in chat. He's done a bunch of, I think he did one of the workflows. We're going to look at that on GitHub, specifically updating documentation, but also I'm looking at some of those YAML files for the deployments, and I think we can do better. I think we can consolidate a few of those, and then also just kind of look, maybe error check a little bit, make sure we don't get rate limited, because I'm on the free plan of GitHub, which means you do get rate limited a lot easier than the enterprise counterpart. So that's where we're gonna do today. Should be a fun one. Now, I did get my chat back up and going, but holy smokes, I think I got something up with, let's see, do we have a filter? Oh, I do. Why is that even in there? Why is that even a thing? Boom, done. Perfect. I was like, wait a second, that's wrong. And let's put that towards the top. Yeah, that looks better. All right, one of these days I'll have stuff set perfectly, and everything will be right with the world. And to stream again 2 days in a row. I'm becoming a professional streamer. Watch out, you youngins on Twitch. There's a new sheriff in town. Not really, but also another big thing too, when the programming side of things, I've definitely ordered a couple more books. I'm going to try a bunch of kind of like a scattered shot approach in learning different languages. I think you have traditional, most of this will be offline, but you have traditional, YouTube videos that you can learn a few things from. I find it's best when utilizing that type of direction is like already working on your project and be like, I need to do this one thing, and then looking at how someone else does it. And then the bulk of my training and just kind of how I learn is from reading. So just a traditional book. I know it's kind of boring reading through a manual, but for me personally, I learn a lot better from just give me a 400 or 500 page book that I can flip through, and typically I will be able to decipher and learn whatever I need to learn from the book. Much better than a video tutorial or a course or any of that stuff. Just give me a book and say, I need you to make this project go. And usually I can cobble together something. Whether it's right or wrong, probably wrong. But a lot of times it will work. So that's the big thing. And it's really, I think a lot of people look for perfection when starting out, and that doesn't exist. You got to realize and just be okay with your first couple creations just being a pile of poo. And that's just how the world works. And I wish there's a better way, maybe, but hey, there's going to be some things I'm like, it just happens. Like when I'm doing my Rust stuff in here, man, half the stuff I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just kind of playing along until I do. So that's how it goes. But I do have some manuals coming in. I bought a Rust book coming in probably sometime later this week, and then I might dabble in some Go in the future as well. Will depend on how it goes. I'm kind of curious on adding like GUI elements and those types of things, but first I want to make sure the console and the easy stuff's kind of taken care of. So with that, let's jump over to Windows and see what we got going on here. Oh, yeah, make a simple pull request on DWM Titus and check it out. Is there, wait a second. Well, before we get started then, oh, they're not coming for me, right? Okay, good. All right, let's look at the DWM Titus. Let's see what we got. Simple pull request. I like simple pull requests. What do we got? Razo, improve the README. Okay, simple enough. What do we got? Dependencies. I like it. Yeah, I definitely need that. IMlib2, XFT, Xenorama, X11, Base Devil. All that looks good. Dude, perfect. I love it. That's perfect. Oh, you know what? I just realized I have a, like, right here. There's a heat spot. I realized when I was rewatching my stream, because I edit all these streams afterwards, I was like, my exposure's a little off. It looks like I'm in a giant dark room. And I'm like, that's not entirely accurate. What is that? Oh, that's the wrong one. Nope, there we go. There we go. Heat spot gone. Nice. All right, sweet. So let's merge this. What do we got? I like the little alias command. Look at that. Sudo make clean install rm-o.o and .org. Yeah, those get made during the make and aren't needed. They're just extra files. I probably should do a git ignore of those. But thank you, Rezo. That's good. Having good documentation, you know, that's another big part of programming, because if no one knows what your project does, good luck. That's solid, man. So I always appreciate even non-programmers coming in and just saying, hey, this is how Titus was doing his project, and then making it easier for folks. That's awesome. I love it. Oh, WinUtil does too. Okay, shoot. Well, let's look at that too. I'm in the process. I have been going crazy on my GitHub. I gotta tell you, I have just been enjoying bouncing around all these. We're about to add Arch Titus into the mix too, because I want to update it. What do we got? Oh God, 11 pull requests. Oh my God. And they're all by different contributors. Get out of here. Holy balls. That is 11 different pull requests by 11 different people in one day. That is wild. Okay, well, there's definitely some stuff to go through there. That is going to be its own video. I think we're going to save this for Thursday, because that's not going to be a fast one. That's not a README update. That's awesome though. I love that, because WinUtil is probably the weakest spot, because I'm not great with Rust, and there's a lot of ideas I have kind of bouncing around in my head from a GUI standpoint, the commands, just how everything's issued. We're going to try a bunch of different things, kind of tinker around. I wouldn't call it nearly a stable release state yet, and we're still kind of looking at that. I still like how Rust works, and the overview of it. So very cool. Very cool. Day 2 staying home, being sick. Oh man, sucks, Russ. Well, Rux, you know, we got at least some streaming to do. I had my old TV. I had like a 15-year-old TV go out in the main room. So sometime today, somebody's going to drop off a TV. But, you know, Walmart has like some 65 inches right now for like $300. It's awesome. And I was like, QLED too. So I was like, hey, that's a sweet deal. I don't like spending much money on my TVs. I have one TV that I bought 20 years ago, still rocking it. It's an old plasma. The thing's like, dude, it breaks my back anytime we ever have to move that thing, but it still works. I like the dumb TVs, which you can't buy anymore. Everything has like a Roku or some crap built in nowadays, which I'm not a fan. All right, let's see what we got. I'm gonna go through this. Let's see, create change log. Now, instead of like the change log, this is just to update the documents, not the actual change log in the pull request. If we wanted to pin the pull request, we have a releases YAML file right here. Now this, I didn't want to actually do, because I have a tendency to commit and then create a release. It creates multiple releases. So even like the GitHub downloads, check to see if this is here. One thing that we could do on this, just the body, check if it is already in release before adding. Let's see what old Jippity says for this. Does it have a way to check? Make latest true. This is actually all wrong. Yeah. Huh. Well, I guess that's fine, but that's not the one. Where's the pre-release? All right, here's the pre-release. This one, check to see if the body is already there. There is another tag you can do. If you look at soft props action GH release, this, let's just open it in GitHub just so you can see right here. There is in the usage template of this one, something called generate release notes. So if you ever do want to auto generate a release using any of these actions, you could actually add this, and then it's just a true false. It's a Boolean. So you could actually add that, and it would automatically append and generate the release notes for you. The release notes are pretty good, but I don't like doing this because of the rapid pull requests we get. So I'm constantly creating releases. So it would just spam too much. So that's why I don't use the generate release notes directly in the action GH release, is it would just, if I just made one PR and that I committed that to create the release, it would be fine. But in typical fashion, I don't. What version of Windows you using? Windows 11. 24H2, I think, still. I'm on a Canary release, I want to say. What version is this? Let me double check. Yeah, 24H2, build 961. Oh, man, CRT's old school. Oh, man, I used to have a Sony Trinitron. It was like a 22-inch Sony Trinitron. It broke one of my corner desks, I remember. I mean, it wasn't a nice corner desk, so I mean, take it with a grain of salt. But, man, that thing was heavy. About 150 pounds, I want to say. Wow. Well, one, I don't recommend ever doing any feature updates in Windows. Usually I do feature updates just to test the script. So when the latest and greatest come out, I can be the first one on it for WinUtil, so I can see the problems ahead of getting like a gajillion issues when inevitably Microsoft does something stupid and breaks things. So then I can be like, okay, let me make sure I'm ahead of the ball. So I don't ever recommend being on the latest release of Windows. You're a fool if you're constantly updating to the latest feature update, unless you have a reason to do so, such as testing environment like this one and testing development software because you want to be the first one on that. That's the only instance where you should be updating. Being on the latest feature update is always a terrible idea. Microsoft always introduce bugs with every feature update. I can't emphasize that enough. I know everyone's been told at an early age, always be updating, make sure you run your updates. But no, you should be doing security updates, but not feature updates. Updating features is not secure. It's not a good user experience because you're going to end up getting new features that have bugs that are untested unless you're okay being a guinea pig. So be cautious with updates. Updates should not just be blindly run and blindly updated. I can't say that enough. Please don't do that. So big important aspect there. Yeah, I need to update the Windows update. In 24H2, they're starting to bypass and ignore registry settings for the update. So I do need to find better ways of securing the update. It works still on 23H2 and below or prior, but I think I'm going to have to find, and I don't want to ever really have like a residual. Once you're done with the utility, it should just unload and then it's off your system. That's what I always want. I never want to have a residual third-party executable running on your system after the initial run. That's one of the big things. Like every piece of software does that. It drives me crazy. And right now I'm just having trouble finding a way to do the updates and making sure that you don't get screwed over by Microsoft by just like a surprise update without doing like something to monitor the updates to make sure like the Windows Update Service or the GPU or group policy gets applied properly. What do you think about daily drive and IoT version of Windows? I'm kind of out on that. LTSC, if you're going to go with an odd version of Windows. IoT is just as hard to get as LTSC. So in my opinion, LTSC would be much better, much more suited if you're getting licensing like that. Yeah, you can't switch from Canary to Preview. Like once you're locked in on an update, here, this is something that I guess some people don't tell you. Windows sure as hell doesn't. But let's go to Windows Update. So yeah, we got some new ones to update here. I haven't run my updates in a minute, but if you go into the Windows Insider program, and let's say you're on here, once you upgrade to, I'm actually on the dev channel, not the Canary. This, you can never go back. You can step it up. I could probably go to like a Canary channel on editing, but you're never gonna be able to move back. So going from the release preview to beta or this, honestly, I would just never do Windows Insider program unless you're a software developer and you want to test it on the latest feature updates. But never do this because inevitably you can't do it without nuking your system afterwards to get back onto a regular release cycle. I mainly just did this again because this is like a trial system. Like my inside system, I don't even have any of this. So Just a word of warning with Windows updates. Don't do Windows Preview or Windows Insider Program unless, again, you're okay being a guinea pig. And two, make sure you don't switch to a high channel, because once you switch that channel, there ain't no going back until you nuke and pave. So just a word of warning there. Yeah, devs shouldn't use Insider. It's horrible. Exactly, Phoenix. You're gonna just ask for problems when using Insider. Hey Chris, I've heard of Massgrave on GitHub. It's a free activator. Yeah, it's crack, really. It's a way to bypass some of the licensing, and it's not on GitHub. It's actually its own separate site. So use at your own discretion, but don't think that is legal. That is definitely illegal. So yes, you do not ever have a license by bypassing that type of thing. If you don't pay for Windows, it's illegal. Now, whether or not you do, no judgment here. I don't care. But yeah, I would never make a video because, man, I'd get copy strikes so fast, make my head spin. LTS 2024 is 26,100. Okay. Windows QEMU is terrible. So only do QEMU on Linux. Linux host with QEMU is awesome. If you're on Windows, VMware Workstation Pro is my recommendation. VMware just opened up the license to be free for everyone. We used to pay about, I paid about $300 for each Workstation Pro license back, well, only like a year ago, actually, is when they did it. Or actually, it's been like just a couple months. I think it was just the first thing this year when they opened it up to everybody. But Workstation Pro, VMware Workstation Pro, is the best software for virtual machines on Windows. Hands down, not even close, in my opinion. Some Windows like to use probably Hyper-V in some instances you could set up, which I've shown videos on that. You got VirtualBox from Oracle. That thing sucks. I hate VirtualBox. Both in Windows and Linux, not my fave. And VMware is just kind of a staple. Honestly, when it comes to virtualization, VMware does it the best, but they are also the most expensive when it comes to like enterprise or setting up hosts and that type of thing. So, you know, you do you, whichever you're feeling. But yeah, Workstation Pro is my go-to for Windows. Now, obviously, I use Linux most of the time, and if I need Windows, I'm opening up QEMU with a Windows VM as my standard setup. I don't use Workstation Pro very much anymore these days. Maybe sometimes at work or something, but not here at the house. Very rarely, I would say. If I was at a Windows as a host system is the only time it would be applicable. Yeah, and VMware Workstation is on Linux as well, but I mean, why not use QEMU? I like QEMU better. I should say win in Linux. So again, there's always asterisks next to everything I say. Don't just blindly clip that and go, okay, I'm going to just use this all the time. It just depends on what you're on. Can you make one how to get ChatGPT on Linux like you use it? Right now I'm just using Cursor, but you could also use Continue. I probably could do a video on that. I probably should. Yeah, Boxes is a GNOME utility that is basically a front end for QEMU on Linux. I'm not a big fan of GNOME or the GNOME team or the GNOME project or the GNOME desktop environment. I'm a pretty vocal critic of how much I hate them on the just design aspect of it. I feel like they're all on drugs. But I know some people do love GNOME, and you know, I get it. It's okay. If you like what you like, I get it. I'm not gonna bash you for it, but yeah, GNOME has some pretty design applications. I will say, like, I don't want to be overly negative here. So, I mean, when it comes to GNOME or GNOME desktop environment, I do like Nautilus, their file manager. I think that's pretty good. I like it actually better than Dolphin and KDE's variant. And I like gedit. Kind of hard to screw up a text editor, but I do like the minimal gedit. That's not bad. And if I had to pick one more thing about GNOME that I like, that's a hard one. I guess the GTK philosophy and design is, I think, prettier a lot of times. It just sucks to do. It sucks to code for because it's constantly changing. So yeah, that's it. All right. Let's see. Let's start going on this right here. We got our pre-release, which is fine. I wish there was a way to look at this on multiple runs. This doubles the body. Do a check before appending the body. Let's see. To prevent body from doubling in multiple runs, you can add a step to check if the release already exists, then conditionally apply it. Here's an updated code. Alrighty. Extract version. Check if release exists. If release exists false, then this. So then I think this actually makes sense. This release match GitHub downloads, GS release, steps to extract version outputs, JSON body. Okay, so it's doing a JQ of the body, but it's not, I don't think the echo release will equal, well, maybe it would. Yeah, I think that would work because it would just, there'd be kind of all this right here into the release, and if release match, although match probably would not be exactly what, well, no, does match, is it an absolute match or is it like a fuzzy find? I don't know. I guess let's see. And then I think what we'll also do is generate the release notes too. So we talked about this and how I wasn't gonna do it, but if the body already exists, we can just append everything to it and still do the release. So what this looks like would be, oops. Yeah, let's just go apply this. Yeah, I wish I had a better way. Maybe I should do like a better notification system of some sort. Okay, accept. Let's close this out. All right, so let's fix up what old Jippity gave us. First thing, let's go ahead and generate release notes. True, and upon append body environment release exists. I'm not sure on this one. This is the release exists up here, and generation of release notes. Maybe we don't want to do this. Oh, Alacrity has a Windows version. I'm just going to use terminal. I don't want to switch. I mean, it's not like you can uninstall the terminal, and I don't want multiple things doing it. Terminal is going to be the best for PowerShell because Microsoft inevitably will release something in PowerShell that screws things up, and the Alacrity team's focused on Linux. Just because there's a Linux utility does not mean it's very good agnostically to spread to every single platform. So what's good on Linux does not necessarily mean what's good on Windows, and what's good on Windows does not mean what's necessarily good on Linux. So just remember that. Just because you love a tool does not mean you should use that same tool everywhere. So yeah, I'm not going to use Alacrity in Windows. Yeah. Well, Windows Terminal plus WSL. I don't really use WSL though. That's the thing. I just use PowerShell in Windows. I PowerShell everything in Windows. If I'm going to be on like WSL, why wouldn't I just come over here? Like, yeah, no. So I don't really ever use, I don't even think I have WSL installed unless I did a video on it. Yeah, I mean, WSL is okay. I use it sometimes in Windows for like syntax or something like that if I'm not on like a dual boot machine like this or the PCI pass-through that I'm using. And PowerShell's not awful. Some of the syntax is kind of maddening, but overall, from a scripting language, it's fine. All right. One thing, since these are separate jobs, we might need to... Nah, we shouldn't need an artifact checkout because I think, yeah, the jobs are the same. Red, thanks for the sub, man. Appreciate the prime. Did you ever try setting the network to mirrored? Windows IP address for networking, it's instead of a virtual switch. Yeah, Rux, well, you're talking to PR over there, but a lot of times what I like to do is I actually have two different network cards and I just pass one through. So I actually have a physical one. But also, if I don't have a physical one, what I like to do is a bridged mode. So I like to bridge it so it's on the same network. Not good if you're testing, like, if you're like a security channel and you're doing a bunch of virus tests, you obviously wouldn't want that VM on the same network as your other systems. But for the most part, it's fine. All right, so let's look here. I think it's fine since it's all in the same job. This environment variable should be there, and that I don't see an issue with. But one thing I'm kind of curious on, will this generate release notes on multiple runs. All right, let's say we apply that. Let's see what we get. Yeah, I think I merged it already, Caleb, unless there was something different there. I'll check it out here in a second. Let me look at this. Right now, I'm just in a pre-release YAML file, which I don't think you touch. So before I do the other one, I'll take a peek. All right, so append, generate, only generate if release does not exist. Interesting. The weird thing here is this append body, this actually should be, if done correctly, this actually should be right here. Oh, append body's false. But what if, I got an idea. You know what? This is just silly. We're overthinking it. This is what happens sometimes. You get too lost in the weeds. So really the big thing here is just don't ever append the body. Just overwrite the body every time. That way when it generates release notes on new releases and the body itself, this is fine. So it will never just like double up release notes or double up any of this. So the only thing I really needed to do here is append body false. This whole like check if release exists, don't need. Typical. That's why you can get like super bloated code when you just don't think about things. And I'm just sitting here going, wait a second. What am I doing? Just put append body false, override the body on every new release. So then when it does add the new executable back in, it goes ahead and just wipes out the existing body in the release, puts the download thing in, and then just generates the release notes below it, wiping out whatever was there. Perfect. And if we look at this, append body should be right here. Append to existing body instead of overwriting it. We put that at false and we're good. Nice. That's perfect for this guy. Let's go ahead and submit this. Fix duplicate tags in release. Fix duplicate items in releases. We're going to commit that, push. So we'll fetch and pull that down. Let's see what other releases we have. Any other PRs before we get too crazy here with redoing our releases. What do we got? We got this. All right. So update close YAML so it detects based on new previous PR. So this one's changing it from discussion to resolves. Update close discussion so it detects based on new previous PR. It just extracts, but I guess okay, look at the other ones. It'll make sense probably from this one. I think that's fine, but I'll just go ahead and hit approve on that. I don't see an issue with it. I'm just trying to think of what that does exactly on I guess detection of closing for the resolves. It's 23.663. So discussion. Okay. Oh, this is, yeah. Okay. That makes more sense. All right, perfect. Let's squash and merge these two, and we'll go back and merge the other one, as that now makes perfect sense. Don't hit the back button, Chris. All right, and then this one we just approved. That'll clean that up. Any other CI/CD stuff in here? Repo cleanup. Oh, what's Drift User on the repo cleanup doing? Holy crap. Oh, okay. Just little tiny things, spaces and such. Oh, these were old text files, readme, known issues. This gets imported in to our current one. I'm kind of curious to see what he changed in the tweak screen. It probably was due for an update for sure. Clone the fork, extra space. We got docs images coming in. That's fine. User guide, extra space at the end. Extra spaces here, extra spaces there. More extra spaces. Sometimes I'm like, these are always the hardest PRs because you just kind of got to watch it just to make sure there's nothing extra slipped in or changed. But that looks like a solid PR. Very straightforward. We're just going to hit submit and squash and merge for the repo cleanup. Just some little housekeeping. Let's see what Martin has today. It's funny when you I've been doing WinUtil long enough now. I can see the contributors. I'm like, nah. Martin's like one of my top contributors where I'm like, usually his stuff is like money. He has some like amazing ideas. I love Martin because often I can find stuff. I'm like, That makes more sense. Add close command for active contributors to close issues. Ah, I like it. Okay, so how is he going to do this? Because normally how you would do it is you wouldn't have a cheap person like myself using a free account, and you'd actually have more granular permissions access that you could assign people in a GitHub Enterprise account. However, I do not have GitHub Enterprise, again, GitHub free, so we can't do that. We have to find more elegant ways of closing issues, because the only access I have is give you the keys to the kingdom or no restrictions, at least from any time I've looked at the collaborators in my GitHub panel. So we have to do a GitHub action, issue / commands with permissions to nothing to pull requests. Yep, perfect. Issues write, contents read. I like it. Close, check if user is allowed. So we got that. OG, Martin, My Drift, and Mola C. Beautiful. I love it. I love it. That is a pretty straightforward. I love how he isolated it down on the permission side of things. You can write and close stuff with the issues, the steps, checking the comment. So what they can do is any of those people listed right here on allowed users can just walk in, write a comment / close, and it'll go ahead and close that issue. And they can even put like, hey, asterisk 363 for referencing a pull request and other things. It gives them that ability. That'll help clean up the issues as well, because I know I'm notoriously bad at doing that. And that looks so good. Which, that is cool. All right. Clear and to the point. All right. Approved. Neat. You guys will have to let me know how that works. I dig it. Get GitHub Enterprise, buddy. Why? I don't want to spend the money. Come on now. I don't know. Student educator might have the permissions, but I don't. I do qualify for some free stuff. The big thing I qualify, if you have over a couple thousand stars on GitHub, they will give you access to Copilot for free. So you might see Copilot suggestions when I'm using NeoVim, or even like Cursor or VS Code. Those Copilot suggestions are free because of the open source project. So what Microsoft does, or GitHub, the GitHub staff really, Microsoft's pretty much left GitHub alone, except for a few things, but for the most part, they haven't screwed up GitHub yet. Yet being the keyword in that sentence. But they do give access to Copilot for free to all people that are in charge of like big FOSS projects. So we can play around with it all day long, and we don't have to spend a dime, which is nice. There was a typo in your merge. Ooh, oopie. All right, let's see what we got. Igor caught the typo here. Let's see if we go regex resolves. All right, Chatterino. Oh, I don't have Chatterino over here. Dang it. Oh well. Let's just do it manual. All right, let's go down. That would have been close discussion YAML. You're gonna edit that. Under the resolves, what are we doing? grep op, that question less than or equal to resolves. Ah, resolves. Right? Yeah. Thanks, Igor. It took me a little bit. I did fail English class, guys. I gotta come clean on that one. So we have that for resolves. That looks good. Let's just do a direct commit. I have dyslexia. Trust me, Caleb, I bet you're doing better on spelling than me. I always am spelling things wrong. I tell you what. That's okay. I have no fear, though. That's another beauty of the project. Like when it comes to documentation and that type of thing, somebody out there will catch it and send something in. I'll be like, oh yeah, I did misspell that. So that's kind of cool. Why is your mic so silent? I don't know. I don't think anybody ever told me I had a silent mic. Silence. So quiet. Yeah, you need to turn up your audio. And then I'm going to smack the mic as soon as he turns it up. A little low. So like when I when you look at OBS monitoring, like if you want to peek behind the curtain kind of thing, you got to watch. Typically, you're going to be about 5 decibels lower than what's considered YouTube. And if you look at loudness levels, everything's measured in what's called LUFS, L-U-F-S. And LUFS, you can really kind of crank up, and you can usually do a compressor to kind of push the upper ends of what you hear. So streams will typically always be quieter, especially on the spoken word, because of real-time editing and compression. You can do so much, but what I like to do is I like to compress around the 10 decibel mark, because if you're editing in the red, you're gonna just get a ton of clipping. So you can make it loud, but it's gonna sound like trash. And what I like to do is kind of edit around, or kind of look at my voice and like to be closer to the 10, 15. But let's say I wanted to go up a little bit. We could probably do, let's see. I could probably add a little bit of gain here. Let's see. What do we got on the compressor? 2.5, 18 decibels. I could probably crank that up looking at my graph here. Probably, I bet I could do about 5 decibels. Let's go up a little bit, and I'll put it around 3 decibels. I feel like anything more than 3 would really screw things up. Oh, I might be able to get away with 4. Let's go 4. All right. Oh, okay. Now we're like barely touching, gracing the red line. Eee. So if I go toast, that's actually, the compression's kind of helping that out a little bit. I bet I can go, nah, I don't want to go more than that. 4 decibels, I think, is sufficient. Actually, hey, I like playing with these things. Oh, there you go. But as long as it's not overly compressed and my voice sounds good, we're good. But yeah, now we're touching, just kissing the negative 10 decibels right into the red on OBS. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. Appreciate the shout out there. I'm such a nerd. Yeah, but I always take those comments with a grain of salt, but also I'm like, yeah, you know what is closer around negative 20 decibels? I bet we could get it around 10 on some things, but you got to account for it being like loud noises. Loud noises! And my laugh, my little chuckle. A lot of times when I'm editing my videos, I listen back and it sounds like a psychotic chipmunk because it's played at 2x speed, because that's how I edit. I edit all my streams at 2x. All right. Now, look up PR 2377. Let's take a peek. Since it's a WinUtil day, fix release log. What do we got? All right, we got the change releases log. Ooh, we're doing a lot of different stuff on this one. Get all releases. So what I was doing here on the last one, we were doing a rate limit on, oh wait, why is this so blank? Checkout repository. Your actions checkout's the wrong version. It's version 2. We have get all releases and update file, but doesn't look right. This does not look right. So this is what is currently there. I want to say checkout action should be 3. You know what we need to do? We need to depend a bot. Add depend a bot. Let's do it. So what we're going to do here, go depend a bot.yaml. All right. And then we're just going to paste this guy in here. Package ecosystem npm pip. That's wrong. 1 second. Well, maybe. No, not really. Is most of GitHub Actions written with Node and Python? I don't really know enough about the backend to know. Most of them I want to say is probably Python or Node. Let's give it a whirl. Let's submit this. I kind of want to see what it grabs and what PRs it makes. Actually, YML and YAML are actually technically correct. Believe it or not, you can use them almost interchangeably and it won't matter. You can actually see during the workflows here, we have some YML and some YAML. Technically, I probably would want to change that all to YAML, but I'm like, it doesn't really matter. Actually, if I could interject for a moment, let's see. I think that's fine. I do want to look at this a bit more because I did want to look at Calem's PR. Is right now, if we look at the create change log, we're doing some rate limiting here. So we only grab the latest release and update the database, concording it. Pulling the entire database using a GS release will typically get you rate limited pretty quickly. So then it'll fail every redundancy. So the idea behind this, which I just changed prior to doing the stream, I was looking at Calem's code and I was like, you know, I know this is going to hit a rate limit at some point in time from pulling all of the releases all at once. If we could just grab the latest release and then do that, I think we'd be okay. And then just grab and append the latest release to update.mb. What is wrong with these changes is the big thing. Now let's look at Calem's one again. Now when he's doing the git commit, oh, this looks good. Yeah. Challenge, tell me what CI CD stands for. Continuous deployment and continuous integration. Get out of here. I'm a noob, but I'm not that fresh. Come on now. I appreciate the challenge. I'm a quick learner. I'm a quick study. That's the beauty of it. You just got to be humble enough to know what you don't know, and then you know what to learn. It stands for teamwork, respect, and other buzzwords. Hey, here's one. What does CMOS stand for in your computer? It's the thing that controls and kind of sets things up before, you know, you gotta have your CMOS battery for BIOS to boot, right? I got it for you. Complementary metal oxide semiconductor. Yep. Big brain Titus. Now you know what CMOS stands for? More useless information for your brain. You guys are Googling it right now, aren't you? There's just stupid stuff that gets stuck in my brain like that. That knowledge may someday, if you get kidnapped by the villain in Saw and get your leg attached and he's like, what's CMOS stand for? It might be useful to you. You're going to get some girls with this knowledge. Maybe. I have an IT diploma. Well, I was a dropout. Yeah, I don't know what people were thinking of with CMOS. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Let's stand for. Yeah, complementary metal oxide semiconductor. Yeah. I don't know why. It's such a weird thing to memorize. But I was like, what the hell does that stand for one day? And I looked at it, I'm like, why? Like, that is just why would you do that? Such techno jargon babble. It's like in the tech industry, God, it was my favorite video this year so far has been the Terrence Howard interview where he just sits there and does techno babble for, he's like, I'm such a genius kind of thing. And it is hysterical. And I love it because as much people oh, that's funny, no one ever does that. In the tech industry, there is so many Terrence Howards that just sit there and just do techno babble all day long. And I'm like, so what you're telling me is you're just gonna put this here, right? I mean, and they'll take 10 minutes to tell you something. And I'm like, guys. I know you're trying to sound smart, but all you're doing is making me mad because you're taking too long to just tell me what needs to be done. I don't need to know any of that extra crap. You're just overcomplicating it for no reason. And that happens all the time in IT, and it drives me crazy. If I ever try and act like I'm smart, well, actually, I just spoken from the guy that just said what CMOS was. CTT IAF. I am a Thorian user. Oh, Martin is on a closing spree now. Oh my God, let's look. Let's go. Let's see what he's got going on the issues. Okay, here's a closing one. Closed 18 minutes ago. Well, that was. Oh, did it erase the close tag? Huh. Well, that's weird. What just happened? Okay, there we go. Oh no. Did I have this open somewhere? Huh. Looking Glass started messing up on me a little bit. Look at Discord and issues. Okay, let's see. I don't have Discord on this computer. I don't install Discord. Like if you ever contact me through Discord, here's how I use Discord. I usually have it in like a browser tab or something, and then I check it in intervals throughout the day. So like I'll have like conversation. A buddy at my work constantly is messaging me back and forth on Discord, and he'll send me something and then I'll reply back to it, and then he'll reply right back to it like a normal person, right? And then I'll wait 5 minutes before sending another response. I know he's on the other end going, curse you, Titus. Because I'll be getting like, I'll have to go over to something, but I don't want my train of thought ever jarred by like a chat message. I like to just finish my train of thought and then go back to whatever it is I was doing. So I never have any notifications ever for any application for any reason. So that's kind of funny. Oh, anyways. Yeah, look at that. Now we're down to 53. So if we go closed, oh, well, it doesn't show right here, but I bet you it just hasn't popped up over on this side. Or is it deleting the issues? I don't know. No. It said issue closed. We looked at the code, so it's just closing them. It's just probably taking a little bit for GitHub to catch up. So if we like do a refresh or reload, we'll get there. Will you switch to Hyperland anytime soon? Cab, probably not. DWM's kind of where I like to live. Now, having said that, I do want to try out Hyperland and update Hyperland Titus. So we will be revisiting Hyperland. It won't be my daily driver for at least several years, if ever. Excuse me. But I do want to update that project and also encourage others to use Hyperland. I like Hyperland. I think it looks very cool. But me personally, I just really love DWM. DWM is just gets me. So my DWM setup is, I don't know. I just program it. It's only 100 kilobytes and it just works. There's a beauty in that. It never changes. It never, like if I'm on Debian, if I'm on Arch, if I'm on any other distro, I just use DWM, even Nix, and I love it. Yeah, DWM for life. But Hyperland is good. Like I appreciate Hyperland, and I think for a lot of people coming to it, the barrier of entry is considerably less on Hyperland because Vactory and how he did his like configuration with a config file makes sense for most users. Doing editing a C program and doing a sudo make clean, you don't have like the live redo. So if you're sitting there constantly tweaking back and forth, you don't want to constantly be like, did that work? Let me build it, close out my existing executable, relaunch my executable. So for the actual building process, DWM really sucks when you're setting it up. It just does. Like if you don't know what you're doing and trying to mess around, you're constantly closing and relaunching, closing and relaunching. That's not a good experience. But once it is set up and you have everything configured, there's just nothing better, in my opinion. How do you get the workspace animations in DWM? That is from a project called PyCom from FT Labs, I want to say. FT Labs has a PyCom right over here. And how did I not star this? It should be starred. Huh. Anyways, yeah, it adds a bunch of unique animations. And you can just install this PyCom and basically those unique animations. Ooh, we do have a bunch of dependencies. I don't even make sure those are installed when doing my DWM. But this is what I'm using for all of that to get all the animations back and forth. So if you don't like the animations, just use regular PyCom. You won't get any animations. But I like a little bit of that Hyperland magic kind of feel, like how Hyperland does its animations. This very reminiscent of it. Is there a Rust window manager? There's some Rust-based ones. I want to say Gbar was another one. Not to get too sidetracked here, guys, but probably Gbar. Blazingly fast. This guy's a Prime watcher. Status bar from GTK. Last updated 2 months ago, so I don't know if it's actively developed anymore. But GTK bar, it's actually pretty good. If you want another different option from like Waybar, Gbar is actually pretty solid. You can use it on any of the Wayland based stuff. So for Sway, Hyperland, whatever you want to use, instead of using Waybar, you could check out Gbar. It's written in Rust, pretty fast, blazingly fast, some might say, and a pretty cool project. I like it, even though it's not really like super active or super popular. Left WM's a Rust window manager. I figured there was one. Oh yeah, Cosmic Alpha. Oh, it'd be interesting. I'm kind of curious to see what System 76 does. I think their lead dev was it Jeremy Solers. I'm probably saying that wrong. I don't think that guy likes me very much. After I called Pop OS, I think pointless. Pointless is the word I chose for Pop OS. I was like, well, it's just based on GNOME with some customizations. Pointless. And then I got tagged on Twitter, and I remember him chiming in, and he was like a bit offended because I think he's one of the lead developers on it. So I was like, oh, sorry, bro. But it will be interesting to see what they do with all the different changes with Cosmic. That is a lot of work, and I would just say, just anticipate a lot of bugs because they are taking on a ton of work to do what they're trying to do. I appreciate it. I think it's super cool what they're trying to do. So I'm not going to be probably overly critical. I think we'll probably just do like a live stream about it and just load it up as soon as it's available and see it. But I'm not going to be very critical of it just because you got to realize how hard of a thing it is what they're trying to do. It's such a difficult, monumental task to take on. And I don't think many people, if you don't know how to, the inner workings of Linux, you're probably like, oh, it's just a new skin on whatever. Nah, this is a big, big undertaking that they're going on. So just know that. It's not some small, easy thing that's going on with Pop OS and Cosmic. I had an idea, run the check environment function in the start sh script for the WinUtil past the package manager to the Rust binary, and then the Rust binary can pass it to the script. I tried to implement it, but I couldn't figure it out. But I'm very new to Rust. Well, Ben, you're probably more competent than me with Rust. Pretty much everyone is. So yeah, there's so many great ideas, and I definitely want to add like checkboxes. If you look at the library we're using, so if you're any Rust developers out there that want to kind of go crazy, this is Ratatouille Rust. This is the library we're using to build out the terminal. It's really cool, but check out what all you can do with this sucker. It is neat, all from a terminal. So you can do quite a bit of examples. Let's go to the examples of this thing. It is so neat. I absolutely just adore this project. There's some, like we've only scratched the surface. Probably like a task. Where was the task thing? I want to see. This is what I want to kind of steal too. Was there a taskbar? Oh, come on. The built-in bar chart, calendar, canvas, chart, clear gauge, list, I think is what it was. So if we look at the list, where is the example to show folks? LOL. Appreciate the sub, man. Why did that not show up on my screen over here? Oh, I'm sure it'll show up eventually. Usually it shows up in chat though. I think I'm going to get a bot one of these days. Each stream I'm going to improve one thing. So here in 2 years, our stream's going to be just immaculate. All right, let's go list item maybe. Yeah, no, these aren't the examples, but man. Anyways, yeah, I wanted to show it. It has like a really cool checkbox system for terminal. So we could just go check, 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 check. And I think it would even take mouse input. So the idea is you could use it through TTY without a mouse and just use your keyboard, or you could actually check the boxes and then do a bulk install of like a full system setup, or do that. And there's a bunch of ideas, but the library we're using is this one right here. So there's a lot of capability with what we can do. It's just not a whole lot of people. I don't think, how big is this project now? Yeah, about 9,000 stars right now. But it's moving so fast. You can see 8 hours ago was the last commit, and really such a cool library from Rust to do and make WinUtil look as good as it does. How far are you in the Rust book? I think like chapter 5. So not very far. And I'm going to have to reread everything anyways. There was a link that said examples. Was it down here? Oh, here you go. Thanks. So here's all the different Rust terminal-based UI components that we could put together with just this library. And all this is already baked into Linux utility. We just have to code it. So you can mix and match whatever you're seeing on the screen here. I mean, really, really cool stuff. Now, I know some people are like, well, it doesn't look as good, blah, blah. It's terminal. Come on now. From terminal, this is as sexy as it gets. I think, honestly, even better than having like a standard GUI with like a Qt type library or GTK. This is peak Linux here. So you have this custom widget. My favorite's coming up here in a second, though. It's really, I think, the listing. You got your layouts, list. Okay, maybe it wasn't list. Minimal, paragraph, pop-up. Ah, come on, it had to be here somewhere, right? Table, tabs. The tabs would be interesting. We could do like a WinUtil type thing with the tabs. User input. Ah, dang it. There was another one too with the checkboxes. Heck, I think the default example is that. Is it demo? No. Geez, I can't remember where I had it. But I actually put it together and ran an example of it, and it was really just so cool. Drawing the UI. Anywho. All right, enough of that. Yeah. Charm and bubble tea. Very cool too, Razzo. I think what we'll do is we'll probably make 2 different versions. I think I'll make well, actually why I'm here. If anybody's like a Go developer is like, hey, I want to do it in bubble tea, let's look at that. WinUtil, I'm already the top result. Sweet. Let's go branches. Let's create a new branch. We'll make a Go branch. So if there is a developer out there that wants to code this in Go, have at it. You can do a PR directly in Go. This is going to be a fun stream going over these PRs. We'll do that on Thursday though. Bubble tea looks cooler than Ratatouille. Yeah, I know, Phoenix. It like I said, I think we're going to have fun. I kind of want to have like 2 separate branches as we learn this, because at the end of the day, what ends up happening with most programming, like first gen programs, at least from my perspective, like for me, I usually get pretty far along and get it to a spot where it's like, hey, that's pretty good. And for most people, it'd be okay. But then I get it to the spot and I'm like, you know what? Let's just delete everything. And then we're going to go ahead and take what we've learned and then just make something completely new from a new foundation. I do it all the time, you know? And, you know, some people like refactor, but honestly, once I'm using a lot of the WinUtil project as more of a learning experience than I am, hey, this is going to be what it looks like in a year. WinUtil will look drastically different 1 year from now. It's not going to look anything like its current incarnation. And that is by design. As I learn, we start from a very basic level, we build out, and then once we have a fundamental understanding of that, then you start tacking on. But then the code starts getting ugly and like spaghetti string just everywhere. And then you just delete everything. And then you take what you've learned and start building from scratch again, build it up. And if you've gotten good enough, you might be at your final incarnation of it, but chances are probably not. You probably build that up, delete it all, start a new branch, and go again. And I imagine probably 3 or 4 times, just knowing how my brain works, we'll probably go through that type of life cycle. So, hey, YouTube video recommended WinUtil. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I think Snazzy Labs actually recommended it too. One day I was like, holy crap, I'm getting a lot of donations today. And then someone commented on Twitter that Snazzy gave me a shout out. And I was like, oh, I appreciate it, man. And he commented back. He's like, no problem. He's a real cool guy. Quinn, I met him at LTX. All right, so we got that. And what else do we have? Oh, no. You rewrite the whole app. The whole app will get rewritten many times, Jazz. I think, at least that's how I work. There's probably better ways of doing it, but for me, I'll rewrite the whole app multiple times. I do mean from like nothing. to a full rewrite. So not like a refactor, not like, hey, clean up this code. It's going to be, hey, let's make a new branch and start with nothing and then build from there. And then, you know what? I did this function already. So you might copy and paste a little bit from the old program, but not much. A lot of it will be completely rewritten. And that's just the state of, I mean, at least for programming, when I'm learning, that's typically how I approach it. Yeah, nuke and pave. And that's why I say that's going to happen like with 100% certainty, is because I've never really written more than a hello world style program in Rust prior to WinUtil. WinUtil is the very first shot at a moderately intermediate to complex project in Rust. So I know it's gonna be garbage. It's like making a YouTube video or doing a live stream for the very first time. You're gonna be just dog water at that. And I know what my skills are. They're very limited and they're not good right now. And I know I need to improve to get to a point where I would be happy with it. And I know that's not going to happen on the first iteration, probably not the second iteration, maybe not until the third or fourth iteration before we get to some kind of polished where I'm like, hey, I can't wait to show this to normal people that don't know anything about programming. That's when I'll get really excited about it. PR 860 works for edge removal. Can we go back to that or no? We can look at it. Let's see. Let's go. What was it called? 860? Let's take a peek at that pull request. Oh, I closed this one. Why didn't? Oh, well, yeah. That's pulling from another person's repo. So this can be a security hazard. I don't allow any curls from outside repositories. So if you link to another repository outside of my own GitHub, I'll go out and delete it or remove that check. Because what happens is I'm not going to remember that check is in there. And then what happens if this Chase guy, which I'm not saying Chase would do this, but it opens you up to this vulnerability to where there's so many people using this tool. I don't ever want to add a possible vulnerability to the WinUtil. I want to make sure I control all that so I don't have to worry about a bad actor with an executable script running on someone else's system without it being well vetted. And if I'm seeing a link to some repo with like 10 stars, that is somebody that just made something offhand and it's not vetted by peers or anything else. So I would never link that. Now, some things I do, like oh no, shut up is used by millions of people. So I do allow that link to exist inside the Windows utility. But if it's not used by a massive amount of people and already very vetted, then it's not something I would ever link to. So I've used like Avo Neo's edge removal in the past, but inevitably I think we probably need to rewrite our own. You're in Windows, you're already vulnerable. Yeah, that's true to an extent. And, but you don't want to compromise Windows users. The idea of the script is to help people, not, hey, make them more vulnerable. That's not my intent. But you're not wrong. I think also another thing I probably should say out loud too was some people have been critical of the script because of, I say, hey, it removes telemetry. Yes, it removes a lot of telemetry, but you can never remove all of the telemetry in Windows. There's so much baked in. So it helps minimize a lot of the stuff that gets sent to Microsoft, but no one can ever truly make Windows 100% secure. It just is not possible. And in the same vein there, you can look at other operating systems and they have their own shortcomings as well. But Windows especially so because of how egregious it is with the amount of telemetry that's in it. All right. Yeah, so that was the big thing here. Now this invoke script's no good, but then we have the remove edge.bat over here. This looks like it would be okay. Pretty simple script. What are we doing on the registry? You don't want to remove edge view. Reg edit remove edge dot. Oh, so he's making this and outputting it to remove edge. Dave Kurtwood, modified by Brightech. Okay, bright text on here. Let's look at remove edge scripts since people are interested in it. GitHub. Shadow Whisper. What is this? This is all executables. Yikes. All right, what do we got for source? Okay, grabbing libraries. This looks like Python, I think. And he's trying to do it through the -- uninstall method and then some registry key modifications. I don't really like this. Probably works, but not in the way I want it to. There's a more straightforward way. Let's keep going. Edge remover, PS1. All right. So this is a PowerShell script. How is it structured? This looks interesting. Okay. So we got Edge. So he's pulling these functions to grab the downloaded browsers. Helper to set item property and remove item property. Okay, so these will be registry additions. See, I hate it when the people shorthand all this crap, but I get why they do it. So you have set property, remove property, new item, and remove item. That's what the SP, RP, NI, and RI stand for. So we're doing remove items for all these registry keys for Edge. And then we're creating a new item for the Edge shell open command. And then set property for this one. And then we have enable admin privs, shut Edge web view clone stuff down, and gather install paths. So probably would modify this script to leave the Microsoft WebView 2 because like all Visual Studio Code projects, I think like Forza and a few games require WebView 2. I don't know why, but they do. So probably would leave that in and then open up a open WebView search. How is he making this? IE to Edge stub executable. This one's kind of interesting. Like just looking at this. Yeah, so the IE to Edge stub is like an executable that automatically redirects from Edge to your default browser, which technically should be there by default, but Microsoft and the monopoly it is refuses to let that be the stock setting. So then you have these workarounds to do that. The thing is, I don't see this executable being created at all. So how is it accomplishing that? Yeah, looking at this. So for the removal, he's just doing a straight up setup.exe uninstall and force uninstall here. Same with the core. And then just doing an apex remove apex a package. So this is the newer version that he put out. I wonder how he's gonna tackle this. So legacy package. So this key right here, if you ever see this, where it says the legacy package version, visibility 1, what this does is it says, hey, it's using the old version of Edge that's not Chromium based. And then that way, when Microsoft looks at it, it goes, hey, there's an old version of Edge there. I'm not going to install the new version of Edge. That's the idea behind this tweak. I don't think that's valid anymore. I think Microsoft's bypassing that, not checking for it anymore because Microsoft doesn't support the old legacy Edge. What else do we have? Not much really here. Yeah, this script won't work. It'll kind of work, but not really. There's a lot more going on there. Well, oh, it doesn't say, it says no web view removal though. Oh, all right. What's remove.edge.ps1, huh? Yeah, I don't think I want to tackle removing edge. It's just so much bad can come from that. I probably need to update mine. I just haven't got around to it. Ooh, you can remove edge by setting the Windows region to EU. Raj, I like that. I feel like that is actually a pretty good solution. Let's take a peek at that one. Oopsies, what happened? Did I quit? Uh-oh, my bad. All right, did that just close everything? What happened? Let's see. Was there anything left open? Dang, I just tripped over a fat fingered and quit maybe I need a new hotkey for my quit. That's funny. All right, well, good to know. All right, let's go over here. Pull up old Chatterino. All right. Now, if we look at what you got, let's look at the MS Edge redesign. I'm kind of curious to see what this looks like. A tool to redirect news, search, widgets, weather, and more to your default browser. Okay. Wow, that's interesting. Using an AutoIt script? People still use AutoIt? Really? Ugh. There's gotta be a better way. So with this one though, I do like the idea of how someone said it was done. I think what we'll do is just change that around a little bit. Oh, Matthew says he uses it. Okay, so we got the AutoIt GUI wrapper. I'm not gonna be able to read this very well, I don't think. Huh. Yeah, this is not gonna be readable. Okay, well, no. Shucks. I'm not gonna be able to read this. Okay. Oh, you stick with Edge. I mean, I get it. Edge is not a terrible browser as long as you're fine with all the shenanigans that comes with Microsoft. It does work, and it does have some cool features. What got you to develop WinUtil? At the time, I was really heavy into a bunch of YouTube vids that I was making, and what ended up happening was, when it comes to Windows utility, I was looking at it, and I needed to make a video on YouTube because I was making, I think, 3 videos back then every week. And I was like, hey, crap, I need a video idea. And then I was like, oh, yeah, you know what? I have this old PowerShell script that I use to set up a bunch of systems at work. So what I ended up doing is just taking it, adding very minor user interactions and just saying, hey, go open up PowerShell, go Win10. I think at the time it was called Win10 script.ps1. And you'd run it, and then it would just launch, just not even launch a GUI at all. And it would just do a CLI. And then every comment that people wrote was, hey, I want to be able to select some stuff. I want some customization. And I'm like, crap. All right, so you want a GUI. I'm not a front-end designer. So then I ended up tacking on WinForms to the original script. And the WinForms, let me see if I can't find like a picture of this. Heck, we probably could just go back in time. Let's look. Chris Titus Tech. And I want to say I have like a playlist of all this. Let's see if we got playlist, utilities. So this, that's only 2 months. What did I call it back then? Let's go Windows. All right, let's see. What are all my Windows videos? It was about, I think 2020 is the time I made it. And 2 years. Oh man. All right. Extreme debloat, but we're still going back in time. Man, this was 2 years ago. This is still the XAML portion though. That was the newer script. I was looking for the original. Oh man, that was old. Look at me. I don't have as much gray hair there. Dang, have I been on the internet that long? Yikes. Yeah, I'll know it right when I see it too. Well, shoot. You know what? I bet you if we just go videos popular, I bet you it's somewhere in here in the top. One tool for everything. Yeah, that was still after pre-design. Maybe I went back and got rid of the old video. Doesn't sound like something I'd do. Yeah, I think y'all have given me gray hair for sure. It's all the comments trolling me on the internet. Oh man, look at the old design. That's only a year ago. Yeah, WinUtil 2 months ago was my last one. I'm almost due for another one for my Windows utility. About every 3 months I make a Windows utility video. Just going over like feature updates and that type of thing. But on YouTube you have to call it something different, otherwise no one clicks on it. Ah, here we go. This is it. 3 years ago. There she be. The ultimate Windows. Look at that ugly duck. Oh. So this was WinForms. Everything you see on the screen is drawn in absolute values. Meaning I was typing in this Windows terminal box was all done with like, this is about X30 on the screen. And then down here, it's like X180. So about 150 in width, about 30 pixels high. I can even remember the values like it was yesterday, writing all this crap in manually. Wow, how far we've come. So this was one of the very first iterations of the toolbox and just having one screen written in WinForm. And then we modified it. And when I kicked this one to the curb, I think this was, did I even leave the GitHub? I don't think I did. This one used to be, I think, called Win10 script. And this, actually, this is Windows 11 as well. So this isn't even the first incarnation of it. A year before this, I had it all just in CLI format. So that's why I wanted to kind of show the evolution of the toolbox or the utility, whatever you want to call it. And it went from CLI to a very basic GUI like this, which is just like, can we just appreciate how awful this looks for a second? I knew what this was at the time. I was like, ugh, this is gross, but it's the best I can do for a GUI. And then finally I just got obsessed and I just had to keep thinking of a way. How do I use PowerShell to draw a GUI using like a library? And then I was like, okay, we got to get some kind of language in here. So I ended up with XAML or XML, or no, it was XAML, and then being able to convert that into PowerShell and draw a whole GUI on the screen. And that was great. So I got that done. And then I was like, okay, how in the world do I import libraries and other stuff to actually theme it out? And then people were like, nobody knew, because nobody even had done that to that point, really. Not very many people have ever really done a XAML file in there. So what they ended up doing was, I think it was Conti was the very first one that did it. It was the contributor. And Conti said, hey, you can pull in other libraries and start theming it out. And that came the light and dark theme and other stuff in the evolution of it. But this was one of the very first incarnations, which is kind of wild to see. Oh, I tell you, it's nostalgia, but it also is a good example of, hey, how far we've come and just what to expect on a project. You're going to have some ugly ducklings, and just know that it does get there. AX, thanks for the Prime. You look so much healthier than you did in that video. Yeah, for sure. Well, I've been doing almost 2 years of CrossFit 4 days a week. And that's been incredibly helpful for me, because all I have to do is just show up, do the workout, and it's hard. I hurt every time, even this, years later. But man, I don't think I've been in better shape in my life. So thank you. Thank you for noticing, Rux. Yeah, it doesn't even feel like that was 2 years ago. It was actually, well, it hadn't been quite 2 years. It's been, because I actually have a whole channel dedicated to it. This is hilarious. Just to show you guys this, you're gonna laugh your butt off. This was when I wanted to journal where I started. So this was me back then. Oh my word. I think this is his first day. I'm Chris Titus. Look at me. So this is the very first day. It says 1 year ago. I want to say, come on, give me a date. I want to say it was November 7th, 2020. Oh no, November 9th. 2022. So there's the introduction, and then they did a little movement test outside this place. It's hilarious.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Started off the go. And on the right, look at that. That is hilarious. Didn't even have anything overhead. I couldn't even put my butt below my knees. Mobility is just trash, which you can see on the bottom part. Watch how deep I can get in the squat now. But if you look at the ankle movements, with a lot of my hip and ankle mobility issues. Again, this is something I haven't. This is so funny to watch back. But I was in such bad shape. I'm doing these. It is just I've already spent. I'm already done for the day. Oh, God bless. Yeah, that's definitely cringe to watch. Oh, look at this too.
It's been a little bit since I said enough talk. Head in the front. Through that without hurting myself.
Oh, did I have
now
that?
The 205 on a workout, which is pretty
205. How long ago was this? 10 months ago? So when I first started out, did it show the very first workout where I was doing a deadlift? I think that was another one. Yeah. So I've only got 205 pounds here, but the very first one, 18 months prior to where this was almost a year ago now, or 9 months ago. So when I first started out, I couldn't even do a deadlift 95 pounds. I was like, my back was in such bad shape. I couldn't even do 145-pound plate and deadlift it without hurting myself. Just to give you an idea where I started. This was 9 months ago, and I was like, I'm deadlifting 205 pounds. I just worked out yesterday, or actually it was last week, and we did 45 deadlifts, and I did 4 sets of 7 at 275 pounds. So probably maxing close to 400 pounds now, almost probably double what I was doing here. And it's just insane to see that. So I appreciate someone noticing too, because yeah, this one in 2022, you can see I had 25-pound plates on the bar. Anyways, yeah. But yeah, just who knew that just eating healthy and being consistent with your workout, it does make a big difference. Which is cool. Oh man. Yeah, I back issues for sure. Like just starting out, a lot of times I was just doing the barbell for a deadlift because my back was just so rounded from sitting on the computer for decades. I was in very bad shape. So don't feel like you're just lost or there's no coming out of it, because I literally went from very, very out of shape around when I was 40 years old to now I'm 42 and in the best shape of my life. Like I could beat every single lift I've ever done, even back when I was in my 20s. And yeah, I think maybe in my 20s, the only thing I probably could do better is I was probably a faster runner. But even then, I think I could compete with my 20-year-old self now. Can I have your GitHub account so I can accept my pull requests? Not a chance. Are you planning to do a server 2025 review? Probably. M4. I still have a soft spot for Windows Server. Yeah. Yeah. If you don't have any money, I think the big thing is just push-ups and pull-ups. That's the big thing. Just start there. I think just doing bodyweight exercises is great for people. Yeah, dumbbells too. But I mean, start slow. The big thing is stay active every day. Do something that you enjoy and you're active every day. Whether it's walking, whether it's whatever it is, just get out there. Whatever it is that you can do, just don't make yourself like a prisoner to something or say, hey, I can't, I have to do it this way, even though I hate it. You want to, whatever you want to do, inevitably give yourself like 3 weeks to a month. And if you still hate that thing after doing it for that long, just stop doing it. Just figure something else out. But find something that makes you sweat, that gets you active every single day, and then go from there. I think that's the big thing. All right, one last look at the PRs here, because we did have some PRs come in. Let's look. Sorry. I was like, I gotta show people that. That's just fun, because I'm really, really happy with how far that's come. What do we have? WOJ, update workflows to remove set output. Remove set output usage. GitHub Actions is depreciating. Save state and set output commands. Remove version as an environmental variable as it is not used. Remove warnings. That's cool. Let's look at that. So you're using GitHub output instead of set output. That makes sense. And then we have the removal of set output and echo version, GitHub output, echo version, GitHub. Perfect. So don't use set output anymore. It's like the early days of GitHub Actions. So that's good. I approve, and squash and merge. Stretching, squats, and more stuff can be done at home. Yeah, and I think that's where you start. You don't want to start with just a whole bunch of weight. Don't hurt yourself. That's the huge thing. All right, you're doing DWM Titus AH. Oh, all right, let's take a look. Oh, you did a pace bin. Okay, let's see. Let's see what you got equally. We got pace bin, I, L, Q, C, Q, D, Q, V. Hey Chris, I'll watch your latest video, and I'm not sure about this channel nor WinUtil. I was thinking, how about you making Lin STS11, where your main focus would be presets, or specifically people transitioning from Windows to Linux, having a tool like WinUtil, but to install a Linux distro. So the ISO would come with just the terminal drivers, lin install util, and wouldn't first of need the new ISOs. It would be easier for transition. I'm thinking, I'm more of a script guy, so I don't really like ISOs. I mean, we could distribute an ISO that auto runs scripts, but I would prefer to not make a whole distribution and distribute it through an ISO form. I would much prefer like Arch Linux style setting in that regard. Appreciate the thought though. So my idea is just, hey, if we did an ISO distribution, I think I'd probably make it Arch based, and then just say, hey, here's all the stuff. Like we've already done like Arch Titus and that type of thing, and or maybe we do a Debian. Honestly, if I was doing an ISO with the distribution, Debian might be better because it would be a little easier to distribute, where Arch breaks so quickly. You're constantly remaking the ISO every month. So I don't want to ever do an ISO distribution with Arch. That would always be like an Arch Titus script style layout. But with Debian, I could get away with an ISO. Yeah. Chris Script Kitty. It's true. It's true. Linstall. Yeah. The utility would be all encompassing. So what we could do equally is make tabs to do or kind of do that. If you look at Ratatouille, Rust, there is a tabs portion that we looked at on the examples page. Where's examples? We had it up earlier. But probably what I would do is something to like this type of style where you have the tab, because we could launch this from any terminal anywhere. So on launch, instead of doing it this way or rehashing the, people have done like whiptail / scripts and those types of things. I want to do something a little different. I would like to make something that nobody's really ever seen before. And that's the idea, is to do kind of almost like a GUI, but at the same time you're in terminal or even TTY and able to do all of this style setup. But you could do tabs where you can switch between them. There's so many different options here that we could go with. And you can do the same with Go. Someone earlier did like Charm Bubble Tea style, which also has like an amazing library, all CLI based as well, that we could launch from, which somebody will probably inevitably doing a commit on like the Go branch we just created today. And where's the examples on Bubble Tea? Bubble Zone, Bubble Refactor. Usually they have, maybe, was it Charm? Yeah. So if you look, Charm Lives, and I can't remember where it showed that, but I mean, it has some very, very cool. So Bubble Tea is probably a little bit more up people's alley in the way this has, God bless, I wish I swear it was in here. Example. So this is an example of Bubble Tea, but you can kind of see the styling. You can do like gradients, there's progress bars, same kind of thing. You can make a lot of things really cool. It just depends on the person. And really the only limitation to either one of these is just your skill set. It mostly just a skill issue, and no one really does it because most of these libraries are relatively new, and most of the people that have the knowledge to set up Linux properly don't program in Go or Rust, so they don't utilize these libraries. I haven't seen anything, so everybody usually does just like a bash script in whiptail because that's what I can do today, but I don't want to again reinvent the wheel. SSH terminal shop. Oh yeah, Prime sells everything from his terminal. Yeah, hell, let's see what we got. I don't think I've ever even pulled up his terminal. So you can pick out I always wondered, how is he doing this? It's so cool. I probably go, decaf, gross. I love he called it 404. Object, probably like a light roast. Free shipping for orders over. So you can go, your cart is empty. Oh, increased quantity with a plus sign. Oh, let's go back. Plus sign. Yes. And then you can go cart for checkout. And then you just enter in all this. I wonder how he's encrypting this. I don't know about putting my card number on a terminal like that. Let's see. Joe Blow a@a.com. Oh, no obfuscated card numbers. I applaud the shop. I think that's cool. I think it's cool. You don't want some dirty bean water? I think that's cool. SSH isn't, well, it is, but yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Very cool. But all right, guys. Well, let's shut it down for today. I think that was fun. We got through a couple things. It was a little scatterbrained today, so we didn't get a whole lot done. Approached a couple things. I'll probably finish jamming out the rest of the releases later tonight, or the rest of any outstanding PRs, and do it. Is there any AoE 4 coming on your streams? Yeah, no, Vol. What ends up happening with gameplay, I don't really do many games here on the channel, mainly because if I'm playing a game, sometimes I just like to chill or maybe just talk about the game. But almost everybody that finds me knows me from the technology realm of things. So inevitably, I'm going to be playing a game and just get inundated with tech questions. And I'm like, it kind of ruins it for me. So that's why I don't really play games over here on Twitch anymore. I do it mostly offline. And if I did it, I probably would make like a game channel and then integrate it with like a different channel on Twitch. So then people could pick and choose, hey, I want to watch Titus Gaming or watch me do like coding or something to that extent. All right, but thank you guys. We will look at that. Oh, well, 1 second. I did say I would look at your PR. I merged it. I merged it 4 days ago. What you talking about, It's done. It's a done deal. But we changed this around. You may not be noticing it anymore because we switched from Kitty to Alacrity in yesterday's stream. Check the pull request. Oh, we got another one. I tried to convert most keyboardings from Kitty to this new terminal. What are? Let's see. Oh, yeah, we're not even pulling in the key bindings. We're actually omitting this entire TOML file. So if you look at the alacrity.conf file, the only thing that's pulled in is this, to where we're not even doing the keybinds. Because those keybinds are all meant for tmux users. So we're not really a tmux user. We don't really care. We're using tiling windows anyways, so it's kind of redundant. So that's why I didn't really do anything with that. That's why I omitted the keybind TOML file. I'd left it in on the commit, but it's not really needed. I'll leave this open. I'll take a peek at it later though. Yeah. I'm on Sway and I love tmux. Hey, I get it. tmux is cool. Now, I'll leave you all with this. For those that didn't quit out when I said I was leaving and I lied. Oh my tmux. If you're a tmux user, oh my tmux is pretty darn slick. This is cool. You have like battery power on laptops. You have all these different cool things. Sane key binding settings, not just the crap that's built into tmux. I hate the default bindings. But oh my tmux, whew, it is a thing of beauty. It really makes tmux. So if I was wanting to use tmux a lot, specifically, I do install this sometimes on some servers, like if I'm doing a lot of headless implementations and I need to use like multiplexing and that type of things. Typically, I use a combination of screen and tmux, so then I can restore settings and sessions really easily, and then I can also have a little bit more complex settings in just one SSH session. So, oh my tmux. So if you are a tmux user and you want like mouse movement, sane setting, cool little GUI, oh my tmux is amazing. So I'm gonna leave you all with this. I'm gonna link it in chat so you all have it. And I hope you all have a fantastic day for both YouTube and Twitch out there. And I will see you all on Thursday. So not tomorrow, but the next day. All right, y'all. Peace.